Hi, my name is Savannah, and I'm here today with my classmates Nikki and Jared, and we're going to be interviewing Dr. Christine Grosse as part of UMW's Modern Foreign Languages Alumni Interview Series. Nikki, why don't you go ahead and take it away with the first question?
One of the things we were interested in, um, so we know you have done a lot of work with languages and linguistics. Do you remember kind of like the first thing that brought you to that field of study?
Yes, yes, for sure. My parents were musicians. That's how they made their living. And my mom had had a French boyfriend during the war before she met my dad, who was in the Navy. And so she spoke beautiful French. And I heard that, growing up, and, what a wonderful thing it was to speak a language. We lived in a neighborhood in Princeton where there were many Italians, and we backed up to Mr. Stefanelli's house, and my mom went to the high school to learn Italian. He was an older gentleman, just to speak with him, because in music, as you know, there's lots of Italian phrases. So
Mhm.
she was excellent at that. So I took that and then went on to grad school. I love Portuguese, but I always had an interest in kind of Arab heritage and culture. Just
Mhm.
I don't know why. I just was curious about it. And so I minored in Arabic at grad school. And I went to a all scholarship Tunis, a program, summer in Tunis. And it was so much fun to learn Arabic there. But then we moved to Miami. And I tell you, it was hard to get a job with a PhD, not knowing anybody. So I worked like as an adjunct of Spanish, of Portuguese. And then I got hired to teach ESL, and I loved it. It was the most fun thing I think I'd ever done. I love the lowest levels. You look, you help people. You help people first of all to communicate, but you laugh the whole time you're teaching. It was a really heavy load. I had so much fun. And next thing I know, I'm being interviewed for the College of Education by this woman who was very influential, a Cuban woman, and she asked me, would you ever criticize the Dade County public schools? And I go, why? No, I wouldn't criticize them. Basically, okay, you got the job. No, what they did, they didn't want anyone to, I can understand that, you're there to educate new teachers, and why are you going to criticize the public school system hiring them? Wouldn't do it anyway. Anyway, so they put me in charge of bilingual ed, TESOL, and modern language ed. Can you imagine? I set out to find out later in life, what is the most important language to study? What is it really? And I got the answer from this really great woman. I'm still friends with her. She worked for US Department of Ed for about 40 years. Susanna Easton, she was head of the cybers. She was Austrian. Her family fled Austria to get out of Hitler's grasp. Uh,
Mhm.
so Susanna knew international ed, and I go, okay, Susanna, what language should I, encourage people to study? And she goes, any of them. And I go, what? That's a cop out. That's not a real answer, but it was true. Any language. And she said all of them. They're all helpful. And then we moved to Thunderbird, a business school, after 20 years in Miami, in that wonderful job. I really liked it. My husband got a job in Spain for a year. We moved to Madrid with the kids. When we came back, it's never the same. He was at University of Miami, international business. And so he was looking for a new job, and we found one in Arizona at Thunderbird. And I had been writing about language for business. So a lot of the people there who taught language for business, they had heard of me, and I had cited some of them in my works. And they said, we'd love for you to teach here. And they hired him as head of the business school. But
Awesome.
you never know where your life will take you. So I got to work with business people. And at first I thought, oh no, and then I spoke to a student of mine. He goes, why are you discouraged? I say, they don't see the beauty in life. And boy, was I wrong. He says, yes, I do. I see how beautiful the gardens are. I mean, it was so, you make mistakes along the way, but if you speak them, people can give you input.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then And I thought, well, where's the creativity in business, which is awful, coming from, I just thought that. And then entrepreneurs are the creators of new things, new business. There's lots of creativity, marketing, and once I saw that, I started.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So you use language in a really direct way throughout your career path, but in our class we also talk about how learning a language gives you soft skills and other marketable qualities that you can put on your resume and use in interviews. What would you say like is the best thing that you've taken away from your experience as a language learning student, and how have those things factored towards your life and career?
I'd say the most important thing is language can save your life. We've had an incredibly amazing, I say we, my husband and I, and he got a job in South Africa, in Johannesburg. I thought, okay, speaking the language could save my life. You connect with people. And I think those connections are the best part of learning other languages. But I sat next to on the plane, because the bank always sent me business class, which blew my mind. I sat next to this guy, and he started telling me he grew up in Soweto. His name was Indaba Nitseli. And I spoke my little Zulu to him, and he goes, "You speak Zulu?" And he starts telling me about his life. He was a billionaire. He was a successful guy from Soweto. And he told me how he used to play marbles on the street. And he goes, I liked a lot of different marbles. Then later on, like, hours into the flight, he gets out this magazine. He's on the cover of it. And I go, my God, it's like Pamodza or something, this big conglomerate. I go, you really do like marbles. You have all those companies. We had the he was his first banker worked at my husband's bank. So we arranged for them to get together, and it was really incredible. So I guess it's the connections. I always think it really could save your life. I think being a teacher, you make connections with your students.
To kind of close us out, what advice do you have for aspiring language educators, people in jobs working with language, people like me, Savannah and Nikki, who are moving into these careers in the future and have a passion for it, but we're just now getting into it as we complete our degrees.
Well, I think my best advice would be don't be afraid. Take advantage of those opportunities because they don't come along every day.
Mm.
And sometimes I think they're meant to come along, and you're either meant to turn them down or meant to take them and go on a whole new wild adventure. But I just would always say, be careful with your eyes open, but do not be afraid of change. So many of my colleagues just are so scared to do anything different. Like I didn't. I had some great English courses with Ramon Singh, or I had one with him. But I was not an ESL person, and I could have said, "Oh, I don't have a master's in TESOL, or I don't have this, I don't have that." It's like, no, I can do it. And I remember this guy who worked for Kennedy. He was my husband's advisor in Chapel Hill, Jack Behrman. He said, because I was offered a course in intercultural management to teach in Finland, where I ended up teaching part-time for like 15 years. It was so fun. And I go, God, intercultural management, I don't have a management. I don't know if I can do it. Jack said, of course you can do it. You've written in this area. And it's like, well, why not? So don't ask yourselves if you can do it. Just say, why not? Of course I can, if you want to. And the other thing is follow your heart. Do what you like. Uh, don't waste any time with people you don't like or things you don't like. Surround yourself with people you find interesting. Like if you get a leadership position, make sure you hire and work with people that I would say, respect and admire and like. It really helps.